Guys, welcome to Action Sports and Culture. I'm Ollie Russell Cowan. I'm stoked to be joined today by the interim new CEO of USA Surfing, Brandon Lowery. Brandon, how are you, dude?
Good to meet. Good to catch up. Super great, man. I'm grateful. Nice to see you again.
You too, dude. How's everything going? Whereabouts are you at the moment?
I mean, we know each other from back in Australia, right? From way back. But now I live in sunny San Diego. I'm in Encinitas.
Nice one, man.
Yeah.
And congratulations on the new role. And that was just announced a couple of weeks ago. How's everything going?
Yeah, it's been good. I'm grateful. It's not about me. I've got put on a good team, and I feel like that's kind of been my career. Get put on good teams, and they make me better, and I try to add value and contribute to the cause. And from Greg and Andrea to the board and all the athletes and all the families and all the community and the industry, like, I'm just lucky to be in the chair for a little bit and do the most I can, bring as much value as I can, integrate the network, level everything up to my fullest capacity, and stay grateful.
Nice, man. And before we jump into USA Surfing, I'd love to kind of take it back to before we met, before Australia, because your background was it was in sort of traditional sports. I mean, obviously you had a keen interest in action sports from a kid, right? I mean, you were sort of surfing, skating, snowboarding, but you played professional soccer at one point, and
I grew up, passionate about board sports, skateboarding and snowboarding and surfing and riding a mountain bike and dirt bike, but I didn't make it as a professional athlete in that category. All my best friends did. I did well, again, getting put on good teams and just learning. I played really competitive soccer and tennis, so my soccer career took me a lot of places. It took me around the world and, all through Europe and through college, and, got the opportunity to play after college. But my passion's always been board sports. And while I was lucky and privileged to do really, really well in soccer and compete, in tennis also, I had a career-ending injury at the skate park. So kind of funny, right? They say don't do these things when you're on a trajectory like that in a sports program, but clearly my passion for it kept me connected with it, right? And my skateboard, my first love, ended up being the thing that took me away from soccer and tennis at a competitive level. But I think, I know the board sports, surf, skating, snowboards kind of got me to where I am, and that's what I'm most grateful for. So, I'm traditionally trained and, conditioned through traditional sports, soccer and tennis. And I appreciate to be able to bring some of that experience and that infrastructure, right, that network into action sports, and continue to see surf, skate, and snow grow.
And like, what happened? I mean, like after that, with that injury, you then went down like a completely different path, right? And that kind of sort of opened up into the business world, and like starting your own businesses over in Australia. And
I mean, it's great to have the goals to be a high level athlete, right? We all strive for that, and that's kind of part of the plan, but I think it's super important, and I can be a case study for it, right? Like, you got to get an education, sport's good, but at some point you might not make it. You might get hurt, you might get cut, you might retire, you might have an unfortunate set of circumstances that, prohibit you from getting to where you think you could have gotten to. I don't know, right? But I was lucky coming up to always remain grounded in my education. So while I played sport competitively, I was always reminded about, other literacies, financial literacy, traditional education. So when I was in university, I took that serious, right? I was privileged to be a full scholarship athlete. So while I was there, I studied, and I was on campus, so I might as well take the classes and get the credits. So it wasn't about getting and chasing degrees, but I ended up with studying business economics, finance, and accounting, right? And I was able to leverage that into law school. I'm not a lawyer, but I studied law, and then put it into, film and audio engineering production. So I got a really well-rounded business economics background and capital markets finance background. So when I had my injury as an athlete, it got heavy. I lost my identity, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen next. You lose your value. But I was lucky to have good people around me and kind of reimagine my value proposition to the community, and I became the business partner on a lot of different projects. So, I learned how to write business plans and raise money and, spearhead new initiatives and sell companies, buy companies, build companies, crash companies, right? It's all learning. But yeah.
Was it always around sort of like action sports, and did it like have that kind of core element to it? Or
it always had like the culture or the mindset, either like the partners were of the action sports community, right? And or we were building product in that ecosystem, right? So I think that's what kept it connected at a fundamental level: the mindset, the culture, the spirit, So we did some things that weren't products for action sports. We made content, we made widgets, we made, we've done real estate deals. But at the end of the day, it's all got that DNA that's got something very closely related to the action sports community and the action sports culture, right? Yeah. I think that's why it works, because again, we're aligned at a philosophical level, and we do business well together. So it's been interesting.
Nice. Yeah. And that sort of then took onto a stage of sort of looking at infrastructure projects as well, and things like training facilities. What did you do around that?
Well, as a young athlete, right, like turning 12, that's when everything changed for me with soccer and tennis, and I got put in an academy. And I really came to understand the value of like dedicated facilities, skate, surf, and snow. It's not all about sport, it's culture. So that's why I think I value it more than anything else. It's culture first. And then you kind of get to decide on to what capacity you participate in it, right? You take it serious, you compete, you keep it casual. It's generational, right? It's not seasons. You kind of do it as a lifestyle always. But notwithstanding, I really came to appreciate the value in having like quality, dedicated facilities, right? To the development and the evolution of the athlete. And so it's a privilege to be able to work with different training facilities and destinations that are committed to seeing the evolution of the athlete, right? And it's an athlete who skates, an athlete who surfs, not just surfers. I think that's interesting. So whether it's the facility, whether it's, the destination location, it all ties into the foods we eat, the mindset, wealth, health and wellness, recovery, and to be able to participate in some of these projects and real estate initiatives around the world. It's a privilege to me because I get to, see the next generation and the existing current generation just like really level everything up for everybody. And it's exciting. So, I'm really committed to seeing more of these facilities. They don't have to be massive. They can just be local. They can be big. They can be anchors. They can be, like a complementary facility. But I really believe in dedicated ecosystems for those who are dedicated to their mission. And the more infrastructure we can provide and support, right, I think it makes everything better.
And were you kind of involved with it? Was that sort of in the run up to the Olympics? So you were kind of sort of within skate and surf. So like building skate parks and kind of gearing up for Japan, right, before that happened.
I got lucky to get brought in with the group California Skate Parks. I've known those guys for a long time and done a lot of different projects around the world with them. I got the privilege of invitation to help build this thing called the CATF, which is the training facility here in San Diego out in Vista. So I learned a lot about that. I mean, it was kind of tricky to navigate, because not all the athletes want to spend time together working on new tricks because that's their secret weapon when they go to contest. So you had to learn the nuances of, training camps and timing and teams and all that type of stuff. But I learned a lot, working with the boys and the girls as they developed the skate program as they were leading to Tokyo. And then I'm lucky to be a partner at BSR, right? The ski resort down in Waco, Texas. And as you might know, a lot of athletes come through there, so it's a great surf pool with American Wave Machines. It's a great property that was, fundamentally built by a guy named Stuart Parsons. We're kind of second generation to come into it. Stuart is the guy who built the dream. We added a couple facilities out there, a little skate bowl, a recovery station. So hopefully that gave a lot of support to the athlete, right? And we ran a camp. We ended up running a pre-Olympics training camp out at BSR with the U.S. team. Athletes from the skate team came out, the surf team came out, some of the snow athletes came out, and some other practitioners to really, give some insight on how to be competitive when we go to the Olympics. And what came of that was Carissa getting a gold medal, plus a lot of other learnings. And, it was fantastic. So to see how these training facilities are appreciated by the athlete, appreciated by the community and the culture. I think that's part of the bigger play. It's not the only play to train elite athletes, right? Like that's not what surf and skate and snow is all about. It's more about culture and lifestyle. But there is a sliver of the community that's really dedicated to, being competitive athletes. And so to be able to support that campaign and be part of these facilities it's a privilege and it's fascinating.
And was that sort of looking at that like holistic view of kind of everything from sort of mental training, physical training, getting viewpoints from like athletes that have been there, say within snowboarding, for example.
Yeah.
And like everyone kind of contributing, right? And it's not just kind of focusing on one part of, surfing development.
I think the board sport community is kind of all cut from the same cloth to a degree, right? Yeah. Snow, skate, surf, right? The mindset's quite similar, right? The conditions and the location we live at, all quite similar. The able-bodied athletes as well as the adaptive athletes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that clique, they go hard. The adaptive athletes.
Yeah.
You know? So it's really interesting to see everybody so committed and being able to integrate them all. What you learn in the skate contest can parlay over to what you do with the snow, right? And then like having the snow athletes who've already been to multiple Olympic, contests share their experiences on a competitive athlete level as well as like a social perspective on what the Olympics have done for them and the pressure of the Olympics and just leveling up as an athlete and then what they stand for in the community as citizens, right? As advocates, as ambassadors, as role models. And then you got the generation who's kind of didn't make it to the Olympics or a little older, right? But they stand for everything that got us here. You know what I mean? So it's really great to see it all kind of come together. And I think more than any other category, the board sports, we all celebrate each other, support one another, and it's culture first, right? As opposed to like just chasing championships. I think we all, are from the same, mindset about, we really appreciate the culture, right? And we have different divisions within that space, but everybody shared and everybody, came together and everybody celebrates each other. And it's not just the U.S. team, like it's global. And I think that's what's unique and different and exciting about what's to come.
And now sort of taking it to the present, like what is your, I guess your sort of core functions in this new role as CEO of USA Surfing?
Yeah, it's an interesting role as the interim CEO, right? Fundamentally for the culture, right? We want to keep everybody united, right? Yeah. Competition is part of sport, so that's expected that people are still going to have a competitive nature, right? But at the same time, it's still unity, right? We're trying to build the culture of surf and then tie that into board sports across the different sectors. USA Surfing, never ever forget what was built before me coming into this role. The team who got us here from the ISA, the WSL, fundamentally, Greg Cruz and Andrea and the board. Doug Bill's been the chairman. There's a great board behind the scenes that not everybody knows about, right? Got a gold medal, so that's major, right? To be able to step in to have that leverage is super interesting. And then, all the families and the athletes, right? The juniors, the elite, the whole pyramid. That's why it's here, right? And then you got the athletes who are casual, and you got the parents who are supporting the athletes, and you got the weekend warrior, and you got those who just want to cheer and support the sport, right? And then you just have the culture of it. And there's a bunch of different disciplines. There's longboard, shortboards, wake surfing these days, right? Body surfing, bodyboarding, like it's all out there, right? And then you got this massive tribe of, the adaptive athletes. And you never know if you're going to have to become an adaptive athlete because accidents happen, right? Yeah. So it's really about being mindful across all of it and, not trying to be disruptive, but be value add and paying attention, right? And, again, like reimagining some relationships, bringing in those who aren't native to surf, right? There's a lot of institutions, there's a lot of organizations, there's a lot of characters, right? Who are maybe somewhat familiar with it, but aren't core surfers, but really value the lifestyle. I think that's fascinating. So the goal with USA Surfing is to continue to build one of the biggest brands in the world, which is the United States, right? Of course, chase more medals. And then, we got this fantastic thing called the Prom Series, which supports, the emerging athlete, the juniors.
Yeah.
So that's major. But as I mentioned, it's not just about the competitive athlete series. It's also about like the sport and the culture itself. So just, bridging some new gaps, reimagining some new relationships, creating new relationships, resurrecting old ones, just doing everything we can to celebrate the sport and the culture of surfing. And then again, trying to tie that in to like surf and skate and snow and lifestyle and music and entertainment. It's not like a shotgun approach. It's real focused.
Yeah.
And it's super exciting because again, it's not just sport, it's culture. And I think when you have that platform, a lot of things can be created and, imagined. So yeah, that's the plan, to really, keep the dream alive.
And how could you do it sort of, like you're saying, you've got to be really mindful and doing it in an authentic way to keep the culture, and like, how would you, or how are you guys going to go about, say, bringing on, say, partners on board that maybe without, that are outside the surfing industry, and kind of seeing how they can be involved in this world?
So bringing on people outside the surf industry into the industry?
Yeah.
It seems as if a practical approach is to, again, anchor against culture, and culture is bigger than surf. And in the surf culture, we have art, we have music, we have entertainment, we have other people who participate in the lifestyle, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it seems as if that's a pretty reasonable, vehicle to explore. So to get new people and new brands and new institutions into the industry, we can do what's been done in the past about, celebrating the experiences and bringing in music and bringing in art, right? Yeah. And bringing in entertainment and bringing in characters who aren't core surfers, but value the surf lifestyle or have friends in the surf industry. And I think that kind of opens the conversation, right? Yeah. So it's not to assume that we know best and know all, but I think it's fair to appreciate that we're a culture over a sport, right? And I think the fact that culture kind of leads everything going forward in our industry, it facilitates a different conversation, right? We can talk to musicians and artists. We can talk to, celebrities and entertainers. We can talk to other athletes and other sports to talk and celebrate the lifestyle and the culture of surfing, and getting new people on board, or getting new people at events, and getting new people introduced and familiar with people who are in the industry, right? Yeah. I think that's what the opportunity is. And once you start a conversation, magic happens, right?
That's it.
And I think that's why this is really, really exciting.
And is there sort of like initial plans to grow surfing within the US, like sort of looking at now, well, I guess everything from kind of local to like regional, state level, national level. Like, are you guys going to be like, I don't know, putting on any more events or sort of specific competitions? Or
I mean, you can never undervalue, right? And I don't think we celebrate, not anybody's fault. Like I don't think it's like celebrated enough, the value of the regional organizations like NSSA, right? HSA, WSA, ESA, the guys down in Texas, right? TGSA, like those guys do a lot of heavy lifting, right? If it wasn't for those organizations, the Prom Series wouldn't be what it is, and that's where it starts at the grassroots level, right? To be able to have, strong leadership in these different regions that facilitate opportunities for, the dedicated, committed surf athlete who really wants to chase the dream and be part of these competitive series, So there's a lot of value, and a lot of respect, and a lot of acknowledgement that goes to that. You also got organizations like SEMA, right? Like the Surf Industry Manufacturer Association or membership organization. They really rally and keep everybody united. And it's, the industry that supports the athlete and the culture. So it's not that USA Surfing has this unattainable unattainable scope of work to do all by itself. It's got great partners, and it's got an institution and an establishment out there that's, leveling all up. And you got a board riders program, so there's a lot of infrastructure already in place. And I think everything that's been built by Andrea and Greg and everybody else at the USOPC and USA Surfing historically, we're grateful for everything that came before me, and I think my job is to just keep the things moving and fundamentally do everything I can to add more value, right, to the establishment that's already built, and hopefully I can leverage my network, right? I think part of my role here is to bring in people who aren't native to surf, right, into the institution, into the arena, and provide more value to all of it, right? So more money, more reach, more media, more currency, right? More capital. And that's what I'm, striving to do with the good team that I already have around me. And hopefully that's, materialized and realized and valued, that, the surf industry is bigger than just surfing, and it's bigger than just competitive surfing, right? That's the play here. So it's exciting.
And like where do you see, I guess, technology and sort of the involvement of surf parks across the US? And I mean, that's got to be a pretty exciting time now with everything that's going on within the wave technology space.
Yeah, I mean, surf parks and facilities that offer a surf pool. I think a lot of these resorts and destination properties and even municipality initiatives are going to have a surf pool. It might not just be a surf park, right? But I think that the technology is so advanced and forever evolving, that the opportunity to ride waves, whether you're on a surfboard or another vessel, it's going to, continue to scale and expand and offer more people, not just the opportunity to participate, but build the awareness of what surf is, and I think that's what's exciting. So you might not be a core surfer, but you might stumble upon an experience where you're riding waves, you're watching people surf, and whether it's a standing wave or a surf pool, you're getting barrel Kellys, or you're learning frontside airs at BSR, and you're traveling around the world. It's fascinating, isn't it? And then to be able to, again, tie in cultural experiences there. So now you got a surf pool, and you can bring in a band, and crew are skating, and it's just like, what just happened, right? And
it's amazing, and you can just build this whole event around it, right? And it's kind of
and it's manageable. You're not dependent on the fickleness of nature. You're never going to forget the power and undervalue the beach ever, because that's part of the experience, right? So it's not like surf pools are going to replace surfing in other places, but I think that the technology is definitely going to unlock more value, right, for the industry, for the culture, for the community, for everyone. So I'm excited to continue to see that space grow.
Cool. And where do you see, or like, what are the plans kind of put in place now for sort of gearing up for Paris and for the Olympics, or should I say Tahiti?
I mean, it all goes back to Fernando and the whole team who got us in the games. It's unbelievable, and it performed well, right? A lot of people tuned in and watched it, right? A lot of people watched snow, a lot of people watched skate, a lot of people watched surf, and I'm glad it showed up in the finals in Chiba. But if you don't know, most people do, and those who don't are about to discover Tahiti, right? And how violent tropes can be. So I think it's going to be a fantastic show to, have the world watch a wave of consequence, right?
Yeah, it's going to be an eye-opener if you've never seen it, right? People are going to be blown away.
Right? I mean, even if you don't understand the sport of surf, to watch people compete on that wave is going to be mind-blowing. And then all the content that's going to lead to it. Not only is that wave radical, but like Tahiti is beautiful, and it's really going to showcase like the lifestyle and the culture, from travel to health and wellness to recovery. Like, crew get injured, right? Like it's a pretty violent wave. Yeah. So I think there's going to be a great content that comes around surfing over the next couple years, and then we lead it back to the LA games, right? But getting the athletes prep, working closely with the USOPC, working closely with the ISA, making sure these athletes are, trained and conditioned, recovering well, eating well. It's a holistic approach, right? Yeah. And I mean, there's no wave other than there's nothing else like chokes. Like, it's gnarly. So it's going to be exciting to see the athlete, the community really rally and get ready for this showcase and Tahiti in a couple of years. It's going to be interesting.
And then that will obviously then lead on to LA when that happens, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger. I mean, like where do you see like the future of surfing in the US going? I mean, is in regards to sort of spectators and kind of participants as well, right? I mean, it's a participatory sport, and it's kind of.
I think it's going to be like snow did, right? I think it's going to be like skate does, right? I mean, surf's international, and again, the lifestyle and the culture is fascinating, right? Like, it's dreamy. It really is. And so I think the attention, right, and the investment that the surf industry gets is going to continue to balloon, right? It's going to grow and grow and grow because of the lifestyle, right? And how we integrate different communities and different sectors of industry and bring it all into the surf community, right? And I think that alone is a competitive opportunity that surf and other board sports, but particularly surf, has over different sporting, categories.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the surf category is going to blow up, right? Like, it exploded over COVID because the nature of individual sports and, team sports kind of got cannibalized because of the circumstances. And then once you kind of get into it and you learn more about it and you experience it and you see what it's about, it's sticky, right? And you stay around, you hang out, you spend more time in it, you kind of go down the rabbit hole, right? And like the traditional institutions, right? The conventional organizations that are really starting to understand the value and the spending power, right, of the surf industry. And back to the United States, we're a powerhouse, right? The brand's big, the athletes are interesting, media around it's powerful, right? Again, it's not just a competitive athlete, even though these competitive athletes are winning. That's exciting. But there's a lot of big countries out there that we compete with: Brazil, Australia, right? Europe.
Yeah.
It's out there, but the United States and the brand and what it stands for, we really got to appreciate it. So I unequivocally believe that surfing generally is going to continue to grow. United States brand is going to continue to grow. America's got that mindset of growth, development, and evolution, right? It's just part of the culture and the DNA here. So again, it's a privilege to be part of that. And I'm going to do my best to, bridge gaps, reimagine relationships, leverage existing ones, and be a steward of the cause.
And are you guys going to be working with the athletes as well, sort of, and like almost advising them on sort of like once they've kind of have exited their career within surfing, like how they can kind of build on their next chapter of life and kind of what they can do after?
For sure. I mean, I think it's important to remember, like, we appreciate, we acknowledge, and we value the different establishments in the industry that are already out there. Like, USA Surfing doesn't have to do everything, right? It can't do everything. It's not supposed to do everything, right? It's part of a bigger program. You know what I mean? And they're competitive athletes, they're able-bodied athletes, there's a adaptive athlete, but as mentioned earlier, like, this is bigger than just the competitive athlete. And so, your one's career in the surf industry doesn't just have to be in contests, right? Yeah. There's a lot of brands to build. There's a lot of, programming to support, right? Financial literacy is important. General literacy is important. Learn how to read and write is important. Getting traditional education is important. Even for the athletes who's winning gold medals and taking titles down, right? We don't ever want to neglect the rest of, being a good person, right? And being a holistic citizen. And so, of course we support competitive sport, but at the same time, it's celebrating culture. It's being part of the lifestyle. It's development as a person, right? I don't want to call it, like, personal development's all each their own, right? Existential growth, all relative and subjective. But nonetheless, while we're here, it's about being more than just a surf athlete, right? Yeah,
it's about being a good person and keeping the culture, right?
And we think that, Tom, in the board sport culture is healthy. And we want this community to, really support all of that. Whether you're an English teacher or, surf and pipe your backhand, like whatever it is, like, we really want to support, right, those who choose to spend time in the community and, let them feel lifted.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool, man. And what's the best way, like, if people want to get in contact, or if they want to follow what you guys are up to?
I mean, usasurfing.org is the platform, right? There you can find, all the things we're doing in the community. You can find links out to other organizations. We got a great social media team. So we do the best we can to, post content, celebrate everyone, right? We're going to do, we do a lot of fundraisers and initiatives, right? There's different ways to work with the organization, right? And there's different ways to work with other organizations within the industry. And so USA Surfing is kind of like a platform and a conduit, right, to other opportunities. And so partnerships is a major thing for the organization. And I think we can all be more successful together, right? Each their own in regards to responsibilities and accountability. But yeah, there's a lot of information that can be found on usasurfing.org. And then on the respective social media channels and handles, right? We're active. We're going to be more active. We're going to work with new people. We're going to continue to support the people that are already part of the industry, right?
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of industry support out there that we're going to leverage, and we hope they leverage us, you know? And then, yeah, there's skate and there's snow and there's music and there's art and there's entertainment and this the whole lifestyle and the whole culture. And I think that's why this is really exciting to see what's possible.
Yeah. Fun times ahead, man. It's going to be good. Cool. Well, Brandon, thanks so much for your time. It's been awesome chatting. And yeah, it's going to be good to see what happens. And yeah, thanks again.
Thanks for having us, man. I really appreciate it.